Yo, welcome back to VLR with Justin and Ulam. So, we are just about to have a talk with Luna now that we have trapped ourselves within the room forever. I knew you'd be here.
You?
Oh, right. We haven't talked here in this one, huh?
Isn't this nice? This is the only place in this. I kind of feel silly saying it. I think it's the perfect being surrounded by... I'm not sure what you meant just now, but...
Pretty sure she's supposed to be somewhat aware of all this.
Are you talking about something that happened in another history?
There we go, yeah, I was gonna say.
I know what you can do. Someone told me about it once. They said that you have the ability to transport your consciousness through time.
So, obviously that's what I was talking about, but yeah. Luna looked down at the music box around her neck. Carefully and delicately, she twisted the dial on the bottom.
Sigma, aren't you here to ask me something? Why I killed them, perhaps?
Well, actually, I already know you didn't do it.
Why do you think I didn't do it? I'd like to know your reasoning.
Well, because Dio's got plenty of the blame on his shoulders, and I think Alice succumbed to the Radical Six in this route. Still don't know exactly what's going on with Tenmyoji and Clover, but it's far more likely that they're related to Dio than Luna. I nodded and took a moment to compose my thoughts. Might as well start with the old woman. There's no point beating around the bush, I suppose. Dio killed her.
Why do you think so?
Other timeline. Or maybe that is this timeline about... Yeah, this one. Except for a stripe on the wrist, it was perfectly clear what could have caused that. My guess is a bracelet got covered with blood and kept her wrist clean. Obviously, none of our bracelets had blood spatter on them, but Dio's bracelet really reacted to the luminol. That meant Dio's bracelet had to have come from the old woman.
Is that your proof? That's why you think Dio killed her?
Yeah, no, that's only enough to suspect him. After all, he could have just taken the bracelet after someone else killed her.
Then why are you so sure?
Because he confessed. After his bracelet reacted to the luminol, I confronted him.
Alright, fine. You caught me. I did it. I killed the old bitch and took her bracelet.
Wait, when did that happen?
In a different timeline.
Isn't that against the rules?
What rules? I hope you're not going to try and bring up Nox's 10 Commandments. Does it really matter if it's against the rules or fair? The truth is the truth. Let's say that Incident P happens, and after that the timeline splits into Timeline A and Timeline B. Well, this logic is directly in contradiction with your stupid quantum nonsense, but whatever. I don't think it's unfair to base a theory in Timeline A on information I found on Timeline B. After all, A and B both came from the same place, P. If you trace the history of both timelines, you'd end up back at Incident P. Now, if I could change what happened with Incident P by visiting Timeline A or B, then yes, it'd be a different story, which was explicitly the point of that whole Schrodinger's cat nonsense, but whatever. I don't know that it'd be unfair per se, but I'd certainly be breaking some pretty big rules, like, you know, the principle of causality. I'm sure that Dio killed the old woman. By extension, that means you couldn't have. I'm assuming Dio wasn't originally intended to be a part of the notary game. Somehow he got in and took the old woman's place. That's how he ended up as Quark's partner. This is just an educated guess, but I have a feeling his plan was to replace one of us. I doubt it mattered which one. I have no idea why he would want to do something like that, and I don't know how he did it either. So we haven't recollected the whole free the soul nonsense yet. But the fact remains that he did. He hid in the warehouse on floor A and waited for someone to come out of one of the AB rooms. That someone turned out to be the old woman. She left Quark asleep in the AB room and came out on her own. Somehow he managed to get close enough to stab her. He did it near the wall with the graffiti on it. I'm guessing he stabbed her from behind so that he wouldn't get any blood on himself. As soon as she was dead, he wrapped the knife up in the handkerchief. No, wait, actually. He probably took the bracelet first. Then he would have needed to wipe the blood off, so he used the handkerchief for that, too. Anyway, the point is he got the bracelet and put it on. Then he wrapped the knife up and hid it between the rightmost AB room and its neighbor. He probably didn't expect that they'd move, or he would have put it somewhere else. After that, he headed back into the AB room that the woman had left. Quark would have still been fast asleep, so as far as he knew, Dio was there the whole time. This does raise a few other questions, but I'll save those for later. For now, let's move on to the other murders. Well, actually, one of them probably isn't a murder. I'm talking about Alice. I'm pretty sure she committed suicide.
All of humanity. Adults, children, everyone. There won't be.
She'd been infected with Radical 6, so we do know enough about it to have known that here. She used Dio's knife, which she'd found in the warehouse after the AB room moved and exposed it. She took it with her and then used it to stab herself in the crew quarters, which unfortunately had the bloody side effect of causing Clover to then suspect that it was murder rather than suicide. Next are Clover and Tenmyoji. The first question is who put the handcuffs on them. The clue is the message Clover left, 016. If you think about it, though, it doesn't make sense. Clover's left hand was in the handcuffs. That means she would have had to write with her right hand on her right thigh. I feel like it'd be really hard to do that, you know? Why not just use your left thigh? The thing is, I think she did. When she died, her legs slumped together and the message got transferred to the right thigh. We just never saw the original because we didn't bother to check the other leg. In other words, she wasn't trying to write 016, which, again, would have been ridiculous, because how would she have possibly known that that was the ID of Luna? She was trying to write Dio. With her dying breath, she was trying to tell us the name of her killer, which was all too obvious from, like, any of the timelines, honestly. Probably even this one, really. Now about Kay and Dio, I think there's a pretty good chance Dio killed Kay. Here's how I imagined it happened. Kay probably sprayed Dio's bracelet with the luminol. We found the bottle in Kay's robe. He wouldn't have seen the reaction immediately, but Dio would have known what was coming. As soon as Kay turned the lights off, it'd be clear that Dio had taken the old woman's bracelet. My guess is he decided to take preemptive action. When we found their bodies, the lights in the rec room were on. Maybe Kay turned to switch the light off and Dio took that opportunity to attack him. Kay was hurt pretty badly, but he didn't die right away. He probably managed to grab the spear and stab Dio. Then he died. So that accounts for all 6 bodies. None of them your fault. Not accounting for her
Sigma.
having been attacked by Clover.
I'm glad you don't think
In
I
her
did
craze.
it. All of your theories are just, well, theories. Like Alice committing suicide. How can you be sure? Say she
Knowledge
was
from other
infected with
timelines.
Radical. She could have been murdered before her symptoms even began to present themselves.
No, because the symptoms were clearly presenting themselves in that room.
As for Clover and Tenmyoji, I could easily have killed them. You don't have any proof that Clover's message was mirrored, like you say.
No,
or even that
but
it was
is
supposed
like
to refer to Dio.
500% more likely that that's letters, and letters for a name of a person that is in this group, versus the 3 serial numbers for someone who we have no reason to believe that she had any idea was a golem or had that identification number.
Even if it did, that's not conclusive evidence of his
No,
guilt.
the fact that he's a lying rat bastard is.
The same goes for Kay and Dio. I could have killed them both.
Sure. Keep telling yourself that.
Why do you trust me so much? I'm a machine. I'm part of this place. How can you trust a machine?
That's why I trust
What?
you. I trust you because you're a robot. Your robotness is just one more reason you can't be the killer. Well, 3 more reasons. Oh, for crying
Have you ever heard
Yeah.
a robot?
The only through
Sigma.
line here, and maybe they'll address it, is not that those are literary devices, not actual logical statements. But perhaps their point is that if she had violated any of them, then she could not be idealizing them so much. Luna, I have to ask you, can you tell me, well, everything you know? Your mind is in the central server. You should know everything that's happened here. There was a long pause. Luna stood up and walked deeper into the garden. I followed her in silence. She just said no. Eventually we reached the bench. Luna quietly sat down, and just like last time, I lowered myself down beside her.
You were right. I didn't kill them. How should I explain? Well, actually, you got most of it right.
That doesn't matter. Tell me everything.
Well, first, yes. Dio did sneak into the facility. He used the large cargo elevator and came into the warehouse on floor A through the number 9 door.
Which was open?
Since the game hadn't started yet, anyone could go through it.
Ah, okay. That doesn't really sound like sneaky. It sounds more like he just walked
Yes,
in.
I guess you could say that. He did get in pretty easily. But that's because Zero Jr. lured him here.
What do you mean?
Dio wasn't a surprise. Both Zeros knew that he was going to come.
So they brought
In
him
a way,
here?
because his
But why?
presence was an important part of Zero's project.
What
I
project?
can't go into that right now. We'd be here forever.
I'm here forever anyway.
Right now,
Proceed.
let's just focus on the murders, okay? Anyway, Dio found his way in. They made sure he didn't know that he was actually being let in.
So why did he
To
come
make sure
here?
Zero's project failed.
Right. So he doesn't know this, but yeah, that was a thing that Dio confirmed several times in his...
His first
in other
step was to
timelines.
pretend to be one of the players. As for how he did that, you had it pretty much right. The old woman was the first one out, and he killed her under the graffiti. He put her bracelet on after he wiped the blood off it with the handkerchief. Then he wrapped the knife up and hid it between the fifth counting
and
from the
sixth.
left, and there...
In other words, the rightmost room would be the sixth, and the one next to it would be the
Right.
fifth. Yeah, so again, yeah. Exactly what we had said.
After that, he went back into the fifth AB room where Quark was sleeping. Then he just waited for Quark to wake up.
What were you doing while that was
Nothing.
happening?
I couldn't do anything. My body had been turned off. Zero Jr. had powered me down. My body wasn't activated until after Dio went into the fifth room. I couldn't help her. All I could do was watch while she was murdered. Everything in this place is controlled by Zero Jr. I couldn't try and prevent Dio from getting in either.
Wait, if Zero Jr. controls everything, then he was the one who moved the sixth room with the crane?
Yes, that's right. Zero Jr. moved the room, not me.
Then who moved the old woman?
Me. It took me 10 minutes to get out of my AB room once I was turned back on. I ran over to check on her as soon as I did. Then I
Yeah.
carried her back to the room I'd been in.
Why did you do
Because
that?
I was ordered to.
Interesting. What are we fading to black for?
Luna,
Oh,
listen to me very carefully. As you already know, the final stage of the project begins
And why
in
did you
2
say this?
hours. This will be the culmination of many years of hard work. We cannot afford failure.
Yes, I understand.
Then let's make sure. What is your mission?
Enter the nonary game as one of the participants and ensure that they do what they are supposed to and guide them down the correct paths.
How many players will there be?
Myself and 7 others, ma'am. Will you be participating as well?
Yes, our plan dictates that I must. An individual by the name of Dio will be entering this facility presently. He has been led to believe he is doing so undetected.
so she even knew.
You've been briefed on him already, correct?
Yes. He will murder the first person to leave one of the AB rooms and take their place. If a pair is the first out, he'll probably kill both of them. That's all the information I've been given on him, ma'am.
Is there a problem?
With all due respect, ma'am, I would like to state that I don't feel right about this. We know someone is going to be killed, and we're just going to let it happen? I also have doubts about the use of Radical 6. Are you sure? Infecting all these people with such a horrible disease.
So that's probably the final nail in the coffin as to why so many of these other dead ends that don't appear to have a, like, that presumably things could further happen, that, yeah, if all of us are I mean, I should let it finish, but if all of us are infected with Radical 6, then even in the scenarios where we cure the 2 people, the rest of us are only a little bit later to succumb.
That is none of your concern. Your only concern is to follow your orders.
But
Luna, I am giving you an order. I am in command, and you do as I say.
Yep, that sounds
You
like
are
her, all right.
programmed to do as I say. You know this.
yes,
Which also means she would have had to have been programmed to question you in the first place, which is why this isn't how robotics works, but whatever.
Good. Now, I have one final order.
another order, ma'am?
Yes. When you leave the AB room, The person Dio has killed will still be there. I would like you to move them.
Where?
To the room you are about to enter. The 6th AB room.
But what?
Not your concern. As a participant in the game, you must have as little knowledge of it as possible. That is why I have made sure you are unable to access any classified data. There are things you must not know. In order for this project to succeed, we need you to be as close to a clean slate as possible.
And yet, as close to a clean slate still involves instructions, but whatever.
There are some things you already know, which ideally you would not. Unfortunately, this is unavoidable, so you must refrain from divulging anything you know about the project to the other
How is that
participants.
unavoidable? She's a robot. You can edit her memory.
You must never tell anyone what you know about Dio, or the body, or that you carried it to the 6th AB room. You will have to pretend you know nothing more than the rest of the participants.
Is that an order?
Yes. Do I make myself clear?
Yes. After that, I went into the AB room as I'd been told to. As soon as I stepped inside, my body deactivated. But since my brain is in the main computer, I was still awake. So I still saw everything. While I waited, I used the security cameras to see what was going on in the rest of the facility.
And you saw the old woman being
Yes.
murdered.
It was hard. What I was seeing made no sense. Several of my higher level processes nearly failed. To think that she would be the first person to come out.
Especially knowing that.
I think she knew that Dio was going to kill her.
I'm curious, so that's somehow a calculated move on her part again. I wonder how.
When she'd said she had one final order for me, I didn't understand what she meant. Like a fool, I told her I didn't approve, when I had no idea what she was prepared to do. When she died, whatever I have that passes for a heart felt like it snapped in two.
Is that it? Is that all they're gonna reveal? I think I understand. Everything you did because you've been ordered
Yes.
to? And it was the old woman who gave you those orders. Then is she Zero Senior?
No,
What? But if she gave
she
you the
did,
orders,
but she wasn't the only person I took orders from.
there was
yes.
someone else? And that person is Zero Senior?
Yes, they worked together to develop the project she mentioned. So I suppose, technically, my orders came from both of them. And they were both controlling Zero Jr., too. I told you before that Zero Jr. moved the 6th AB room.
Yep.
Although that's strictly true, he didn't do it of his own free will. They ordered him to do it. He was following orders just like me.
So yeah, this is all... So the movement of the thing is even on Akane's precognition. She knew that his knife would get hidden there. Okay.
I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah, it
Maybe
has to
they
be
did it so that
Akane
people
somehow
wouldn't suspect me.
Cognitively guessing it. If they didn't want people to suspect you, then why have you moved the body in the first place? Eventually, we'd figure out that the rooms had been moved and that she was in your room.
Maybe they wanted the opposite.
You
Maybe
mean,
they wanted you to suspect me.
yeah, to pull suspicion off of Dio, I presume. That doesn't make sense either. If they wanted people to suspect you, why
You're
move
right.
the room?
Then maybe they only wanted certain people to be suspicious of me.
You mean like
Yes.
Alice?
Perhaps they wanted Alice to find the handkerchief and the knife. That would explain why they moved the room.
So they somehow knew Dio would hide the knife
Yes. I think so.
there. But how could they know that?
Well, whatever the reasons were, Alice did notice that the room was moved, which meant that Clover also figured it out. And just like you said, Alice Clover didn't realize that, though. Or perhaps she didn't want to. In any event, she decided that I must have killed Alice to keep her quiet. So she confronted me. It was right after the second round of the AB game. Using Phi's timetable, That would be 0 hours, 0 minutes.
Wait, you were listening to us in the security office?
Yes, that
But
wasn't
she's
all I
like-
was listening to, though.
Yeah, again, main computer, remember? Gollum.
I know everything that happened in the facility after my body collapsed.
You were watching through the security
Yes, I
cameras.
was. I could see and hear everything. Anyway, we're at 0 hours, 0 minutes. I was in the hallway on floor A when Clover found me and took me to room 2 in the crew quarters. We entered at about 0 hours, 1 minute. She was very forceful.
I know you killed Alice. Tell me the truth and I'll let you live. Now fess up! I'm only gonna give you one chance. If you lie or try to play dumb or something, I'll kill you right in front of her!
I told her the truth, of course. I explained that I hadn't killed Alice, that she'd been infected with Radical 6, and it had caused her to kill herself. Clover was never going to believe that, though. We argued about it for nearly 9 minutes. It wasn't just Alice she asked me about. She asked me about the murder of the old woman, and about the AB room being moved. She wasn't very nice about it, but I couldn't answer any of her questions.
Because of the orders.
Yes. Then, at about 0 hours, 10 minutes, she must have run out of patience. She stuck her hand in her pocket and started moving toward me. She backed me up against the wall and pulled her hand out of her pocket. She was holding the injection gun. I tried to take it away from her. I even screamed for help. She refused to let go, of course, while we were fighting over it.
While you were fighting over it, you accidentally got injected in the neck? Well, hold on a moment. The trigger got pulled in the fight. I get that part. What I don't understand is why it did
You
anything
mean
to you.
because I'm a golem?
Well, no, it's still...
One of my
the exterior
orders was
stuff.
always to act like I was one of the
Oh,
players.
no, so she was absolutely faking. I thought it still had an effect because of the artificial tissue. No,
Any
she was
human
just
injected
play
with that
acting.
amount of tubocurarine would die.
That's why you, died? To keep up the facade?
No, I collapsed because Zero Jr. turned off the power to my
Ah.
body again. He
So-
probably felt he had to.
Probably.
Maintaining the illusion that I was human was probably in his orders, too. So to make it look like I had died, he turned the power off.
Makes sense.
Whatever the case, it was an accident. I don't think Clover ever intended to actually kill me.
Really? You think she pulled that out for any other reason?
She only took the injection gun to try and threaten me.
Whatever.
When
if
I
you think so.
collapsed, she looked terrified.
Yeah, which doesn't mean she didn't intend it. But,
She checked
okay.
for my pulse and listened to see if I was breathing. She also shook my
Yeah,
body
so there
and
was
called out
shock
to
and
me several
regret immediately,
times.
but that doesn't mean it wasn't still fully intentional in the
If
moment.
she'd meant to kill me, why do all that?
Because shock and regret.
After a few moments, she ran off to the infirmary to get the AED.
You mean the defibrillator?
Yes,
That uses an electric shock to restart the heart, right? So that was why she
Yes.
left? At 0 hours, 11 minutes, 40 seconds, Clover left the cabin in the crew quarters.
she ran off toward the infirmary. On the way, she bumped into Dio.
Ooh.
Yes, I guess she just saw him, really. They didn't talk. She just ran past.
And he just
Yes,
watched her go by?
I imagine he was curious, of course. He
So that's why
probably
he
wondered
sneaks
what she
in.
was doing. But he chose not to go after her. He had something else to do.
Clearly. At 0 hours, 12 minutes, Dio enters
He
the
seemed
room.
pretty surprised to find my body. It
Yeah, I
didn't take
bet.
him long to get over it, though.
Obviously.
He'd gone there for 2 reasons. One was to get Alice's bracelet, which was a blue solo.
Right? Without it, DOK, the yellow pair, wouldn't be able to get through the secondary door.
Yeah, but he couldn't find it.
Of course. Fi already taken it by then.
Yes. But there was something else he wanted to do, too. He was there to take the knife. Removing it was gruesome.
But why did he want the knife? Was it because he used it to kill
No,
the
I
old
don't
woman?
think so.
Then what do you think?
I think he didn't want anyone to see the engraving on the knife's blade.
And yet, he still threw it away in the first place instead of just hiding it on his person, but
That's why
okay.
he hid it so well after he killed the old woman.
So well. Why wouldn't you want anyone
Do
to
you
see
remember
that?
what it said? There was a word engraved on the blade.
Myrmidons, I think, yeah.
Yes.
What is Myrmidons?
It's the name of the organization he belongs to.
Yeah, but now, well... hold on, yeah, so, I mean, Alice is already dead, Clover already suspects someone already, so if anyone's going to see that engraving and make some meaning of it, it's Alice or Clover, one of whom is already dead and the other already thinks they found her killer.
I don't
So
think
hiding
so.
it doesn't really change anything.
I'm afraid not.
Wait, wasn't he here to try and stop whatever Zero was
Yes.
doing? Then, wouldn't that mean he's on our side?
I don't know about that. He's killed 4 people. I'm not really sure he's on anyone's side.
Well, his own, but yeah. I guess this enemy on Miami isn't my friend, huh?
May I continue?
Yeah, keep going. After he took the knife, Dio rifled through what few belongings Alice had. Luna said he didn't seem to be looking for anything in particular. He was probably just checking to see if she had anything useful. That was where he found the key to Kay's suit. He didn't seem to have any particular reason for taking it, at least as far as Luna could tell. At 0 hours 13 minutes, Dio leaves the room.
He heard Kay opening the cyan door and ran out. When he left, he was heading toward the infirmary.
Which is presumably where
My
Clover
guess is that he was
been.
going after Clover. He found her with the AED. She was probably planning to just ignore him and head back, but Dio didn't let her.
Oh,
Hey,
she's
wait.
not sure about it.
Just what are you planning to do with that thing? Thinking about trying to resuscitate Luna? And why would you want to do that? You were the one who killed her, weren't you?
Then Tenmyoji shows up. When Clover tried to push past Dio, Luna said they began
The
to fight.
fuck do you think you're doing?
Dio pulled the knife out of his pocket and pointed it at Clover's throat. That was when he showed up. Bad timing, Tenmyoji.
Dio, what the hell are you doing? None of your goddamn business.
Knife to someone's throat.
Stay out of
said
this,
that.
you senile old shit.
Like hell, you son of a bitch!
He let out a yell and leapt toward Dio. The younger man dodged him easily and lashed out with the knife. Tenmyoji caught Dio's hand with a grunt, and for a moment the two men struggled. Then, as the knife edged closer, he wrapped his other hand around the blade and tried to force it away. But Dio was a much younger and stronger man, and the wound Tenmyoji gave himself with the knife didn't do him any favors. He put up a valiant fight, but with a roar, Dio threw him off, and Tenmyoji collapsed to the floor.
What are you going to do?
Let's see. How about this?
So, having incapacitated them, since Clover decided to just let Tenmyoji fight on his
How
own,
cute. You two really look great together, you know?
What are you going to do to us?
Isn't it obvious? I'm gonna
Yeah,
handcuff
baby.
you to a sink. Actually, I already have.
Are you
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
beat
just
us
gonna
to death
leave.
or something?
Ugh, no. Nothing so tasteless.
What are you going to do then?
How'd you like to make a bet?
A bet?
You've got, 20-some minutes until the primary white doors open. So I'd say you've got 25 minutes until they close. Give or take. If somebody happens to come by here before the doors close, you might live. But if nobody finds you, well,
We'll be penalized.
exactly. So, I suggest you start screaming for help now. Unfortunately for you, just about all the rooms in this place are behind at least 2 nice thick doors. So unless they're pretty close, nobody's gonna hear you scream. Well, I'm off to the Floor B warehouse, okay? Enjoy your last 25 minutes. Later.
25 minutes passed and no one came.
Well,
Of course,
obviously.
by then there were only 3 other people who could have come, apart from Dio.
you mean me fighting
Yes,
Kay?
you were in the crew quarters at this point.
Yeah. Very close by, and somehow just didn't end up accidentally in there. We'd also noticed the knife in Alice's chest had been removed, only we'd known what was happening in the infirmary.
Unfortunately for Clover and Tenmyoji, their time had come. Once the primary white door closed, both of their bracelets injected them with Soparil. Yes.
anesthetic.
Almost immediately, they started to feel sleepy. I think that's when Clover realized she was definitely going to die. That was when she decided to leave her message. Just as you said, she wrote on her left thigh with her right hand.
And the word she wrote was
Yes.
Dio.
As for what happened in the rec room, well, I guess I don't really need to tell you. Your theory was essentially correct. What you said was what happened.
Then I don't really need to see it. Can we not do the flashback? So Kay sprayed Dio's bracelet with the luminol, and while his back was turned, Dio attacked him with the axe. And then he turned around and speared him into the wall. Dio mortally wounded him, but didn't kill him, so Kay turned around and stabbed Dio with the spear. But enough force to pin him to the wall, and I guess that's when we found
Yes.
him. When did Kay get
After
the
they
luminol?
went through the white door, Dio and Kay found themselves in the director's office. When they were done there, they headed back to floor A to look for everyone else. They went to the crew quarters first, then to the infirmary. Of course, they found Clover and Tenmyoji's bodies there.
And of course,
Dio expected to
played
find
dumb.
them, of course, but he pretended to be shocked. Anyway, Kay checked them over for anything useful.
And he probably saw the message. And that was when he found the
Right.
luminol. And they're not going to mention that he probably saw the message of Dio written in blood. Plus, at that point, conclusions are starting
That's
to be
everything that
not
happened. You
apparent.
have any questions?
Well, what do you think? Does a bear shit in the woods? Well, the first thing is Quark's bracelet. Why was it in the infirmary?
Tenmyoji had it. Then when Dio attacked him, it fell out of his pocket.
But why did Tenmyoji have Quark's
I
bracelet?
told him where it was. Do you remember when you were in the rec room with Phi and Tenmyoji?
Yeah, when he sprayed us with the luminol, right? Sure, I
Right
remember
after
that.
then. When he left the rec room, he went toward the green door to look for Quark. I ran into him at the end of the hallway, where the 3 doors and the switch are. That was when I told him. Look, Tenmyoji, the center door is unlocked. He took off through it without another word.
That was the treatment
Yes.
room, right? Where
Right.
Quark was sleeping?
It only took him a moment. As soon as he saw Quark, he ran to his pod and started crying.
Out of relief,
Yes,
right?
the display on the pod showed Quark's vital signs. It was obvious he was alive the moment you looked at it. Next to the pod was Quark's bracelet. That was how Tenmyoji got it.
But the very next time that Tenmyoji could do anything was him discovering Clover getting attacked and, yeah.
I took it off. Aluminum
Ow.
foil.
You slimy.
Oh, you found it? Did you know that aluminum foil has electromagnetic shielding properties?
So there was a way to cheat the system the whole time.
Here's an exciting fact. Your heart creates... Anyway, the point is that your fancy little bracelets pick up on that.
So you're telling me the aluminum foil can block the electromagnetic waves your heart sends out?
Yes, all you have to do is wrap it around your bracelet.
And the bracelet thinks your heart is stopped?
Yes.
Holy shit, it was that easy all along.
Anyway, I used
Well,
some aluminum
no,
foil
because
to get Quark's
with
bracelet
all the
off.
cameras, if Zero Jr. hadn't approved of her doing that, he could have immediately triggered it anyway, because the cameras are always also watching and have remote trigger capability, I believe. It would be a serious oversight for them to have that much overview and surveillance without having remote trigger capability.
Then I put it next to the pod.
Wait, why was Quark in the pod to
Oh,
begin
that's
with?
easy. I put him there.
When did
Remember
you do that?
when we were first looking for Quark? I found him unconscious near the entrance to the Golem Bay.
So you carried him to the treatment
Yes.
pod? So that's probably where he's been any of the times where he just disappears. Were you the one who unlocked the treatment center,
No,
too?
I was not. I do not have the authority to operate any of this facility's machinery.
So it was Zero
That's
Jr.?
right.
He reactivated your body, too, right? Man, I don't get any of this. Why the hell did he do that? I guess it wasn't really him that did it, huh? He was just doing what Zero Senior and that old lady told him to do. Everything leads back to them, huh? Of course it does. So, are you gonna
Tell you
me?
what?
Isn't that obvious? Tell me what this project is. Everything that happens in here has something to do with it. So why were we brought here?
To play the nonary game.
And why were we supposed to play the nonary
That
game?
was part of the project.
Luna, if you keep talking in circles, I swear. Why did Alice kill herself?
Because she was infected with Radical 6.
How did she get
Zero
infected?
Senior and the old woman did that. It was a
Why?
necessary evil. It had to happen for the project to succeed.
What would have happened if Alice hadn't committed suicide?
Clover wouldn't have suspected me, and she wouldn't have accidentally killed me. I wouldn't have collapsed, and Dio wouldn't have found my body. That would have meant the confrontation in the infirmary never took place.
In other words, you're saying Clover and Tenmyoji died for this project.
Yes,
Well, actually, it was the tube of curine that killed them, but they were only injected with it because of their bracelets, and they were only wearing those bracelets because of the nonary game. If the nonary game was part of the project, then that's one more way it killed them.
I guess. If you want to look at it that way.
Now, what about Kay and Dio? Why would they kill each other?
Because Dio killed the old woman, he was worried about getting caught, so he tried to kill Kay before he could find out the truth.
And then if Dio hadn't killed the old lady, what happened in the rec room would never have taken place,
Yes.
right? Well, strictly. So let me ask you this, why did Dio kill
So that
her?
he could pose as one of the participants.
And why did he do that?
Disrupt the project.
Then why did she let him
The
kill her?
same reason they did all of this. It was a necessary evil. The project couldn't be allowed to fail.
This episode's dragging on, but I'm gonna try to at least finish this ending. 6 people died here. 4 of them were murdered one way or another by Dio. At first that makes it look like Dio's the reason they all died, but that's not true, is it? All of them, all 6 of them, they died for this project. That means the murderer, I guess I should say murderers, were the old lady and Zero Senior, right? Although one of those victims is then the old lady, so... Please, Luna, tell me, what is this project about? Who is the old woman? Who is Zero?
Sigma. Would you hug me?
What? Instead of answering, Luna wrapped her arms around me and buried her face in my, that's stomach, but okay, sure, chest. My own arms hovered in the air, confused about where they should go. I swallowed hard and tried to rein in my heartbeat, which had suddenly doubled. I was about to speak when I felt something warm on my chest. Was Luna crying?
This feels nice.
Her voice shook as she spoke. I lowered one hand to her head and began to gently stroke her hair. Hey, Luna, what the hell is going on?
Sorry. My ABT is usually held in place by muscle fiber, but after Clover gave me the tubocurarine...
Okay, I get it.
Does it scare you? This is what I really look like. I'm a golem, just a machine, a jumble of metal and plastic that pretends to be real.
I wrapped my arms around Luna and hugged her as tight as I could.
You believed in me this whole time, even
Yeah.
though I look like this?
Of course, I trust you.
Thank you so much. I wish I could stay here forever. You feel so nice. But I think my time is up.
What?
I've done things I really shouldn't have. Do you remember what you asked me earlier? About if Zero Jr. had reactivated my body? Remember? The truth
Yeah.
is, he didn't. I did. I went to the part of the core that controls Zero Jr., and I hacked it. Yes, that was the first thing. The second, do you know what the second one was?
You're telling me
If I
any
had
of this,
really
I'm sure?
wanted to, I could have saved Clover and Tenmyoji. Then Kay and Dio probably wouldn't have killed each other. That's not all. I could have stopped Alice from killing herself. And I could have even saved the old woman at the very beginning. In other words, I had the ability to disobey my orders. But
Sure.
I didn't. That's the second thing. I broke the first law. I was scared. I was afraid to die. Obviously, hacking the core and taking control of Zero Jr.'s systems is very, very bad. Golems who don't follow orders can become dangerous, so we're terminated if we disobey.
But not immediately?
You lose access to your body, of course, but everything that's stored in the core, your memories, your consciousness, is deleted.
What? Wait,
Yes.
are you saying...
Very soon now I'll be gone. Zero Jr. is probably recovering himself right now. Once he's done, I doubt I'll be around much longer.
Ah, so that's the other reason then. So yeah, because that happens in so many... Well, no, that doesn't happen in that many of the... Never mind.
I watched 6 people die and did nothing. I deserve this.
No, you don't. Even if you had done something, you would have been killed anyway. Can't blame yourself. You did what you could. You're not wrong. This game is what's wrong. Forcing you to watch your friends die is what's wrong.
Oh, Sigma. Thank you.
Really, but sure.
I'm really glad I met you.
Luna, it's gonna be okay. I'm not gonna let them do this. You're gonna be fine, I promise.
I'm sorry.
Please don't. Yeah,
time's
she's
up.
on.
At least I get to die in your arms. Thank you, Sigma, and goodbye, Doctor.
Doctor? But she couldn't answer. I squeezed my eyes shut and held her, unable to bear the thought of letting any more of her slip away. So you got a couple of the answers, but ultimately you just trapped yourself in here, and now with what we know that you're probably also infected, you're probably also on a timer before it takes you, as are the 2 that escaped. Because, well, that doesn't explain how those 2... Oh, wait a minute. Actually, I think there's only maybe one ending where we both cure anyone who actually ends up getting out. Because if anyone gets cured but doesn't get out, they're almost certainly going to die anyway. She quit spending this time speculating and move on. This episode has gone long enough. With one last quiet chime, the music box wound down. I was left with nothing but silence and the cold pool of tears over my heart. And there's the ending, I assume. Yep. So, what I was saying is that I think that the fact that we're all infected with Radical 6 is probably their explanation then for why all of these endings, including this one so far, except for presumably the final true end once we get through everything, all these other ones are just going to be like the game stops, but the story is also like, even though it seems like there's more story to be had, there isn't, because too many of us are still infected and are going to kill ourselves and possibly each other before the end. So, or before too long anyway, certainly before we can be saved. Not sure why it's rolling credits here. But can I fast forward them? Nope. Oh, here we go. All right. Yeah, just to get confirmation that, yes, this was indeed Luna and... Ah! Right. I was gonna say, which did not ever give us the answer of where the Zero Bomb is. So I guess I kind of have to... Well, I'll have to check back through the novels and see if maybe one of them told us where. But I'm pretty sure I don't remember ever seeing where the Zero Bomb is. So next time we'll complete this little arc. Hopefully it gives us the Zero Bomb. Otherwise, I don't know what we do. But anyway, that'll be next time. So thanks for watching. We will catch you then.